All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Soni Boito, and I've been a Healthy Living affiliate with the Juice Plus company since 2006. I've worked also in the medical industry for over 30 years. I've worked in diagnostic imaging, teaching people how to operate MRI scanners and take x-rays and all of that stuff. So I also volunteer as a peer reviewer for peer-reviewed journals in my field, and have served recently as president of my International Professional Society. I actually just hosted that meeting earlier this month in Toronto, and it's just been an amazing, awesome journey. And in 2014, I actually didn't have enough to do, so I became a certified health coach. And so through that, I have done corporate wellness and one-on-one wellness, and given talks at medical centers like MD Anderson Cancer Center. So we really appreciate everyone taking time out of their day. I know everyone has a very busy schedule, and we're just so grateful for you tuning in to learn more about these stories of hope. So thanks everyone for joining us. So our event tonight is sponsored by Juice Plus, and I want to get us started by sharing a little bit about Juice Plus and the Juice Plus company. So the Juice Plus company is a $15 billion global health food company. Our products include the flagship Juice Plus Essentials blends, and that includes our fruit, our veggie, and our berry blends, and then also our Omega blend, which is a vegan broad spectrum omega. So we skip the middle fish and go straight to the algae that make the fish very rich in omega-3s. And then also we work with some seeds, some other seeds, 5 different seeds. So pomegranate and sea buckthorn berry being a couple of the powerhouses in there. And so I don't know if you were familiar, but there's actually lots of different omegas. There's omega-3, omega-5, omega-6, omega-7, and omega-9. So broad spectrum, we're getting all of those in that blend. I want to bring us back to our fruit and veggie and berry blends. The way it works is if you think about like a giant industrial Vitamix and all of the produce, we take all the produce and just throw it right in there. And that includes everything, right? So the peel, the skin, the seeds, all those things that you typically wouldn't necessarily eat, those are all included in our blends. And that's really important because they're actually highly, highly nutritious. So, that means that our blends are much more than just a multivitamin. We put those powders, we dry that out, we do it at a low temperature because you want to preserve all of the nutrients and the enzymes. They're very delicate. And that's one of the things that sets us apart from anyone else, is being dried at that low temperature. And so then we take those powders and we put them into a capsule or a gummy. Everybody's got gummies nowadays. We put those on the map. We've had them for over a decade, probably closer to 2. And then the other thing is the variety, right? So I don't know about you guys, but I don't eat prunes every day. It's just not my thing. I eat beets pretty often, but again, not every day, right? Kale, I eat that pretty often. I'm growing kale on my tower garden from the Juice Plus company. But again, I don't eat it every single day. Okay. Although I do with my Juice Plus capsules. And then there's other things. There's things like bilberry and elderberry and blackcurrant. I don't even know where I would buy some of those things, certainly not the supermarket. So tonight I am joined by our featured guest, Michelle Fletcher, as well as my co-moderator, Deborah Bradford. A little background on Deborah. Deborah has been an affiliate with Juice Plus since 2014, and she has a background as a parent educator. And let me see if I can spotlight her, because I want you to see this beautiful woman. There we go. There's Deborah. Okay. This young lady is 72 years old and takes no medications. I know she's super proud of that, as she should be. And I can't wait to hear her share some more. And then let me switch over to Michelle. So here's Michelle, our other featured guest tonight. And Michelle, gosh, I don't know how long you've been with Juice Plus. I know it's been several years, and that you were an IT professional previously. And you've got two awesome kiddos, one of whom's on a travel soccer team. And I think you guys just got back from your trip. So we're just so lucky that you squeezed us in, and just so appreciate you doing that. And Michelle has founded the Holistic Business Network, and she loves to help busy mamas and career women simplify and achieve optimal health. So now that you know a little bit of her background, let's hear her about her health journey. So Michelle, tell us a little bit about tell us how you learned about Juice Plus and why it made sense for you and your family.
Okay, well, thank you guys for having me. This is so cool. So it's been 12 years. I can't believe it's been 12 years. Time flies when you're having fun. But it's been 12 years since not only was I introduced to Juice Plus, but I tried Juice Plus because I actually heard of it 15 years ago. My children's holistic pediatrician, he had it in every room in his office, displayed. He was a huge advocate of Juice Plus, but because the fact that he was a doctor, he didn't have the time to really tell me what it was. So I remember when my daughter was 3 months, he mentioned, no, she was like maybe 4 months. Are you guys taking Juice Plus? And I was like, no, because I thought it was a drink. And I am a picky eater and textures are a problem. So I kind of like blew him off, like, no, we're not taking that. And it wasn't until 3 years later, by then I had two children. I was leaving my gym. I had just worked out. My kids were with me. It was funny because I really had an opportunity to work out around that time because my son, who was only 1 years old, was constantly sick, and they would deny me entry into the gym because he was sick. They were like, we don't take any sick kids. You're not going to make all the other kids sick. So he was constantly sick. He was a very picky eater also. And so that day I was leaving the gym. I happened to be parked next to someone and we started a conversation. And that was the day this other mom shared what Juice Plus really was. And she gave me those gummies that you were talking about, Sony, and they were so delicious. Me and my kids were eating them in the car like they were candy. I was like, what did she just tell me? This is fruits and vegetables? There's no way. Like I almost didn't believe it because I was like, this just tastes way too good. So that was my introduction to Juice Plus 12 years ago. And I was very interested because I knew I had a son who was constantly in the doctor's office. But funny enough, I did not watch the information she asked me to watch, even though I was very interested. So I'm glad she followed up with me and reminded me because then I was like, yeah, I want to see what that's about. And I was so happy I did because I learned so much. I had always been into fitness and working out, and I thought that was how I was going to help to prevent the numerous diseases that ran in my family. I had no clue that nutrition played an even greater role in how to stay healthy. And so that was the beginning, and I haven't looked back since.
And that is so amazing. I know that your dad, I think you got a little moved there. Maybe you were thinking about your dad and the just phenomenal quality of life that he had. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been talking about him a lot lately because I think back to the experience he had. And so I always tell people the first person I thought of was my son when I heard of Juice Plus and that it was just concentrated fruits and vegetables in these gummies or capsules. But the second person I thought of was my dad. He was insulin dependent, um, diabetic, had been a diabetic for about five over 5 years. At that point, he was 79 years old. And I think he had just turned 80 actually when I first found out about it. And I was like, Dad, you can get all this nutrition from those fruits that they tell you can't eat anymore because they tell you your blood sugar is going to spike, right? So I was like, you can get all these fruits. And they kind of are like, my parents were like, whatever. And then they came to an event and they heard like the education and they got on it. And I'm so glad that they did because he started on it at 80. Now, mind you, my dad had had prostate cancer. He was living with diabetes, insulin dependent. Um, that caused kidney issues. Like he had a number of things that happened, which I really consider, I attribute that to the American lifestyle because my parents are from Jamaica and my dad was super duper healthy before we moved to this country. So remember, they're from Jamaica, then they moved to England. They lived there for like 20 years. And then we moved here to the States. And it wasn't until we came to the States that my dad's health started to decline like later on. So anyway, I digress. I tell you, this American diet is not good and the lifestyle. So he started on Juice Plus, and it's funny. My dad's a man of few words, and but back then we used to have to do a survey. Remember, we'd do a survey after 3 months. How are you feeling? And then there were a number of things like, are you sleeping better? Do you feel like you have more energy? Like all these questions. And I was like almost scared to ask my dad because he never likes to really have a discussion about anything. And he never talks about his health issues. But when I did, he had so many amazing results. Like he was like, oh, yeah, I am sleeping better because of his blood circulation with diabetes. He used to wake up with cramps in his legs. And he was like, oh, yeah, I don't have the cramping anymore. Like, this is huge. Right. So I was like, what? I was amazed. I was so amazed that that was his experience. So, he had been on Juice Plus. He was able to be on Juice Plus for 10 years, for over, yes, 10 years, because he passed away at the age of 90. He passed away at the end of 2020. But I honestly feel that we were given extra time with him because he had this nutrition, because there were three times he was told he would be placed on hospice and not be leaving the hospital or whatever. And all those times he ended up like leaving, like even doctors and nurses were shocked. Like, what? Was this the same person that came in like 5 days ago that we told was going to be on hospice? And I attribute that to the fact that he had this nutrition in his body. Because mind you, my dad did nothing extra. We used to say, go for walks, do some exercise. He would do nothing. He would sit and watch cowboy shows all day. When he was retired, he was done. And it was just like, do something. He wouldn't do anything. But the one thing he did do was take Juice Plus. And so in my heart of hearts, knowing what I know about Juice Plus and the research, I feel that that helped to keep him here with us to the age of 90. It was amazing. So even with his kidney issues and living with diabetes and all the things, I feel like that was a gift that no one can give me. No one could give me anything that would repay me for the gift of having him with us for those for that extended time. So I'm so grateful, and I'm really grateful to Juice Plus just for creating something so amazing that it can help support so many people and their quality of life. So yeah.
That's so beautiful, Michelle. I just thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that you all had that time together, and the quality that it is, for him to not be waking up with those cramps. I can't imagine, because our sleep is so important to us feeling good. And, yeah, Deborah, I know you've got your story around that too. So yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. So tell me what inspires you. I know you love sharing Juice Plus. What is it that inspires you to share it with others?
Okay, so it changes, but let me tell you what initially inspired me. Back I heard of Juice Plus, my son was 14 months old. And what I saw with his health within 2 months of starting on Juice Plus, he went from being my constantly sick child. He used to be sick 3 weeks out of every month. It was ridiculous. We used to have to make sure he had a vaporizer in his room so he could breathe at night because he was always stuffy. His nose was always running. And within 2 months, all of that just changed. We didn't need the vaporizer. He no longer walked around with this nasty runny nose. Mind you, we did also eliminate dairy around the same, like a few weeks later, we eliminated dairy, and that mucus that used to run all the time, that disappeared. And he was just like, he rarely ever got sick. Like, it's funny because he's probably like the healthiest one in the family. He rarely ever gets sick. Um, and so to see what happened with him within 2 months, I started calling all my friends because all of us were having kids at the same time, right? I was calling everyone. Like, I know if I just went through what I went through, because my daughter was a picture of health. She was the oldest, she was 3. But then I was like, oh my gosh, it's a struggle when you have a child that's sick all the time. You're like, you don't get good sleep. You're worried about the kid. There's always something going on. You're at doctor's visits. You spend a lot of time in a doctor's office. You got to wait for like an hour before you see the doctor. So it's just like all of this aggravation that's so unnecessary. If you could just get like some key nutrition in their body. So I was calling all my friends. I was like, you guys, I don't know if you're interested in this or not. I don't care if you buy it from me or not, but you need to hear about this for your kids because it has helped me. And so that was just kind of how I started. I was really just ignorance. I was really ignorant, seriously. I just love telling people about this, something that I know can help. So that was where it started. And I was just like, everyone with kids needs to know about this. They can say no if they want, but at least I know I got it off my conscience that I shared it with you. So that's where that started. But then just even hearing like people's results on Juice Plus, like I started to see what happened. I saw what happened with my son. Then I started to see what was happening with my dad. Then I was having my own experience. And then like throughout my family, like my husband used to suffer from post-nasal drip. So gross, guys. Oh my gosh. The hacking, the choking, the coughing because it dripped in the back of their throat. It's just so disgusting. That disappeared. I was like, that was a gift in itself because I used to be so grossed out, but that disappeared. So I started to just see these things happening in front of my face. And so of course I'm telling people about it because I'm kind of one of those people, I get excited about stuff and I'm just like, well, you just want to hear. So like people would be like, oh my gosh, my so-and-so has postnasal drip or so-and-so has diabetes. And I even had a friend of mine, his daughter was diagnosed with diabetes at 5 years old. She was insulin dependent too. And when they started on it, her results were incredible. Within the first week, they had to lower her insulin at night because in the morning, her blood sugars were too low. It's almost like her body was starting to do a little bit of what it should be doing. So I got even more excited after the initial, I know how this could benefit you. I started to get excited to see the results that people were having. And so that's what's kept me here all these 12 years because I know what I know. And how in the world could I not tell people about it? Like, that's just crazy. So I've had my experience, and I even know how I feel like if I don't have my Juice Plus, which is very rare, but my gosh, let me miss a day or two. Goodness, I'm like, why do I feel? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that rarely happens. But the few times it has, I'm like, it's a wake up call to what my body really needs, right? And how I can feel the difference. So, yeah, that's what drives me is because I know what it can do for people. And I just know what it feel like. I'm always like, gosh, I know people could probably have a better attitude about life if they felt better. A lot of people don't feel good, and that's why they're grumpy and grouchy. And I'm just like, I want everyone to feel good and be happy and full of life and live with vitality. Don't you guys like look at Sony and Deborah? Like, whenever I see them, like so happy and just like bubbly, because they feel good. And I feel like I'm always way too, because I feel good and I want other people to feel like that. And Juice Plus helps. Definitely is a big factor in me feeling as good as I feel because I'm not getting any younger. Trust me, I'm not getting any younger.
Oh, Michelle, that's so great. Oh my goodness. And just what an incredible difference. I love how you touched on that, you know, if people aren't feeling good, then they're grumpy and unhappy. And so that's a world I want to live in, the world where people are feeling good for sure. Awesome. Thank you so much. So Deborah, let's turn it over to you, my dear. So how about for you? Tell us how you learned about Juice Plus and why it made sense for you and your family.
Well, the first time I heard about Juice Plus was when I was in a local Fortune 200 company as someone sharing their benefits plan with the employees. So I was in a benefits fair, and there was a couple there that had a little card table with a tablecloth on it, and they had Juice Plus products. So as a vendor, I walked around and talked to people, and they shared Juice Plus with me, and I've, to be honest, thought it was the hokiest thing I'd ever heard. How can you get all that nutrition in capsules? Are you kidding me? And I dismissed it. I just completely dismissed it. And then you, Sony, posted on Facebook in 2013, I think it was, a picture of your vertical garden system. It's called
That's
the
a trip
Tower
in the
Garden.
Wayback Machine.
Yes. And immediately, as a former organic farmer from California who had moved to the hot land of Texas, I was not going to get in the ground and do gardening. So I saw the vertical garden system, and I must have one. And so then after I fell in love with the Tower Garden, I said to you, okay, tell me about the company. Like, what else you got? And so you shared Juice Plus with me, and I was fascinated by the research, which as a kid, as a teenager, very interested in food values. Not that I applied it really well, except that I was in California, which used to be the salad bowl of America. I did grow up eating a lot of fresh foods, but as a teenager and young adult and college student, I'd gotten away from that a lot until I went back into farming and was growing organic food. So I thought, okay, now this makes sense to me. There's science behind it. There's hard data about how this is working in people's bodies. So ahead of knowing anything personally about how it might work, I started taking Juice Plus. And wow, I didn't realize that I could have breakthroughs in my health like that. I mean, I was on cholesterol medication and blood pressure medication at the time. Very briefly, I told my doctor, I will do whatever it takes to get off this medication as soon as possible. And within a month of taking my Juice Plus, he took me off both of those things because my blood pressure actually dipped really low. And my blood work has been pristine ever since. So I got off that medication. I haven't been on any medications since, which is really extraordinary. Now, another thing that happened for me is that I was talking about sleep. I was getting interrupted in my sleep twice a night to get up to go to the bathroom. And once I'm awake, it's hard to go back to sleep. And I really need my sleep. It's a routine for me, and I'm good at that routine. But if it's interrupted, it's a challenge. So I no longer get up in the night to go to the bathroom ever, which is a blessing because I get really good solid sleep no matter where I am. It's really reliable. Then, I noticed that all of my allergies disappeared. I had been someone who had inhalers and Kleenex and eye drops and all that stuff. And probably within 4 to 6 months of starting my Juice Plus, I realized everyone around me was suffering in allergy season, and I didn't even notice it was allergy season. And my allergies have only come back one time when I was in a house pet sitting with 5 long-haired dogs. And I took extra veggie capsules that next day, and I was fine within a couple of hours.
I think that would get to anyone, right?
Yes, yes. So that's how I heard about Juice Plus and started seeing the benefits. And then I became a student of the information that's available through the Juice Plus company about other people's experience. And I was so moved to learn about people who, for instance, had to be hospitalized and were able to have Juice Plus placed into their feeding tubes or their, gastro tubes, and what amazing recoveries that, provided them, where otherwise they would have been profoundly disabled. So there was just so much to say about the results. I just wanted to share my own, and a couple that other people shared as well.
Yeah, really amazing, Deborah. And, I know you've also shared this with your family. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I raised my niece from the age of 4. She just turned 32. And as soon as I heard about Juice Plus, she became a Juice Plus teen. And she took Juice Plus all through her teen years and her early adult years. And her first baby, my little great niece Rosemary, was a Juice Plus baby. And I just spent the day with Rosemary. She's turning 7 day after tomorrow. And I think she came out of the office with her gummies. She raided the gummies from the office, like she was eating her gummies on the couch. And at lunch, now here's something for parents of children. We went to celebrate her birthday. We went to lunch today, and I had ordered a salad and some dairy-free soup. And I put the salad between us on purpose. And she started picking up the dark green spinach and said, kale, kale, kale. Because she used to run out of the yard and pick the dark green, blue-green kale. When she was a toddler, she would run out and say, Nana, I want kale. And she would run out to the tower garden and just stuff her mouth full of kale. So she thinks any dark green vegetable, leafy vegetable, is kale, and she eats it abundantly.
That's amazing.
So yeah. And now my niece is expecting her second child, and she's on, she's doing her Juice Plus squad and doing her shakes, and I expect a really healthy little baby out of that too.
Healthy little nugget coming soon.
Yes. Yes.
Just amazing. I love the impact that this is having across generations and even for future generations. Yeah, thanks for shining a spotlight on that. So what inspires you to share Juice Plus with others? Why did you choose to become an affiliate?
Very much like you, Michelle. Why not? I mean, everyone needs to know about this. And I have been a commitment. Well, two things I'm totally committed to: that this planet sustains life for the generations to come. And I think that if we're healthy, we will all do our part. So growing our own food is, food sustainability and having food in food deserts is one of my passions. And also, so I've been sharing a lot with teachers and schools and preschool owners and daycare center providers, and because they feed children, they take care of children and youth and teens through their programs. And then, I'll just share with anybody, my neighbor right next door, across the street, our local community pool. I would wheel my tower garden over there and set it up so that people could witness, the possibility of fresh food during, our events where we had a lot of people come to the pool, farmers markets, cafes, I'll go anywhere and talk with anyone because it works. And it's almost like it's a hidden gem in the world of wellness, which I'm happy to bring it out and shine a light on it. Thank you.
There we go. I had to come off mute. Sorry about that. Amazing. Yes, it's just awesome. Like you say, everyone needs this. I don't know anyone that eats enough fruits and vegetables. And that's our mission. It's not to say, oh, you don't need to eat them. It's actually to encourage you to eat them and to get that variety and sheer volume. And like you've heard, we're out of time, so I'm not going to share my stories tonight, but you can, I'll share with Michelle and Deborah the links to our YouTube channel. There's other episodes where I've shared my story. So if you want to hear mine, definitely check it out. And, you know, just like we said, there's research that supports all of this. That was the key for me, was once I saw the research, I'm like, oh, this is absolutely, I need to do this for me, my family, and to share it with everyone. And so that all supports these stories of hope you've heard tonight. Please invite those you love and care about to come back for our next session. We typically do this every other Tuesday. Of course, the next, that would fall on 4th of July, on Independence Day. So we will not have an episode on 4th of July, but we'll be back July 18th for our next round. And that's at 7 Central, which is 8 Eastern time. We want to help you get inspired to get healthier. And if you've not gotten started on Juice Plus yet, please get with the person who invited you. I know they would love to share more. If you have any questions, if there's anything, you know, lurking in the back of your mind that you're like, I don't understand, or I want to know more about it, we want to hear that. We are here to help share and guide you. And we love knowing what your thoughts are. So please reach out to that person who had you come join us tonight. And if you're ready to get started, do that as soon as possible, because it's only going to start fueling your body with the nutrition that it needs. And I'm going to stop the recording, and